You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 281, and it is another Friday episode. I'm doing the intro solo today because we have our friend DC back on the pod, which I'll play the interview in just a minute. But off the top, I want to bring up one thing that I feel kind of went under the radar, and it's the sale of Shohei Ohtani's first $1 million card, $1.07 million to be more precise. And it was for his Topps Dynasty Black card that came from the Ohtani 50-50 card set, which commemorated his historic accomplishment last season. And if you remember, it was autographed in gold, and it includes the MLB logo patch from the pants he wore the day I believe he hit the 50th home run, September 19th, becoming the first player to reach 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a single MLB season. It's an incredible sale, and I'm actually more surprised that it was his first $1 million card. But I would think if his Bowman Chrome Superfractor rookie card ever gets back on the auction block, I'm sure that would blow whatever record is still in place for his cards. Now, one question I'm going to put up as a poll on my Instagram story at 5cardguys is, if you had $1.1 million, which card would you buy? Okay? This Ohtani card, which was graded a PSA 9 with the Auto 9 that just sold, or the Paul Skeens MLB debut patch 1/1 card, which also recently sold and got all the headlines, of course, and that card was graded a PSA 10 Auto 10. Curious to see how you guys vote, and I know my answer, which I'll share in the next episode. But yeah, go vote. I have no idea how the poll's going to end up, but I think it's an interesting question. All right, short and quick, that's it for me. Here's the interview with Darrell Chan, who's back from the Dallas Card Show, and he gave us the lowdown on that show, as well as card show trends that he's been noticing as of late. All right, enjoy. All right, we got our good hobby friend, Darrell Chan, aka DC, back on the show. He was on just a month ago, so it wasn't that long ago, and it was right after you came back from the West Coast Card Show, which is formerly the Burbank Card Show, and you gave us the lowdown on what it was like and what kind of deals that you made. We found out then during that episode, if you remember, DC, that you mentioned you're going to a lot more shows this year. So I think we decided then that you should just be our Cards to the Moon correspondent, right? and just report back, after going to any big card show and just telling us how it was. So here you are, DC, this time to talk about the Dallas Card Show, which you just came back from recently. But yeah, welcome back to the pod.
Thanks for having me. Love being here. I just listened to that last West Coast Card Show. That show, I just listened to it today because I went to visit my buddy's store in Burlington. Mm-hmm. And I needed something to listen to, and that was that. So okay. I did mention I was going to Dallas. It was kind of funny because we hadn't planned to go to Dallas initially, but then after we had so much fun set up at the Burbank show, we decided we'll just go to Dallas, take a detour before we went to Vegas for the NCAA tournament. We were just we're there for March Madness just for a little bit. Yeah. So we went to Dallas and it was good. Totally different. Again, I mean, these US shows are big. That's the first thing. And secondly,
well, what's big?
Well, the number of tables, I think there were 700 tables set up
at Dallas.
Yeah. And this show happens every 2 months in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Same place. It's at one hotel, that one Marriott hotel out in Allen, Texas.
Okay.
And apparently every week they also have smaller shows, which I found out a lot of stuff when I went this time, just because just speaking to some of the vendors that catching up with. Actually, it was quite a few people I've been talking to online with for a long time,
Great.
but actually for the first time met them in person.
Oh, cool.
So that was kind of cool. And, we did some deals and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
they were talking about, oh, just come out to Dallas and set up and stuff. But this time was a walking show for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When
So a
you
little
when you say we, who are you talking about?
So again, I went with Steph and Martin. They're some of my
Yeah.
really
And
good friends.
they're from here, Toronto.
Yeah, and they're from Toronto,
Yeah.
GTA, and they set up at a lot of shows. They set up, a lot of shows. Like they'll be in Vegas. They'll be in Vegas next month for a front row.
Yeah.
They asked me to go. I can't. I was like, no, I'm in Asia. So I'm actually heading to Asia next end of next month, just right after Expo. So right after Toronto Expo,
Yeah.
pack up. I'm coming home, take a quick shower, and then I'm leaving for the airport.
Okay. Man,
Yeah.
you're traveling. You're traveling.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to sync it with the Macau show in
Oh, really?
October, November. I'm just waiting to see what the dates are.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back to China for some other business and then see if Macau kind of coincides. Because last year I didn't go only because it was the same time as Expo. So I didn't want to give a Toronto Expo, but I hear that show is crazy too. So I wouldn't mind checking it out.
That'll be interesting, yeah. And if you do go, obviously you'll be back on the pod. But for the Dallas show, was that your first time going to the Dallas Card Show?
First time in Dallas. First time in Texas.
Okay.
So
what was your first impression?
Everything is bigger.
Like true what they say, eh?
The buildings on the way back to the hotel from the airport.
Yeah.
Which the airport was already crazy. I think it had like 8 terminals or something.
Right.
Something stupid like that. The Uber back there to the hotel. Some of these retail shops, just the size is unimaginable. There was a furniture store which was the size of like a full-fledged mall in Canada.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we were just in awe.
Yeah.
I'd say the food was amazing. We of course we had some barbecue. We went to this place called Hutchins, which is a very, very highly regarded barbecue spot there. And the three of us, we said, okay, let's order the family meal. And when we ordered the family meal, the staff was clapping.
Okay.
So at that point, we're thinking, what the heck? What are we in for? And then we saw the sheer amount of food. It said 3 to 4 people, but we didn't realize
Texans. 3 to 4 Texans, right?
3 to 4 Texans. So I think we ate maybe 75% of the meal.
Yeah.
But literally the staff was clapping, goes, hey, these guys ordered the family meal. Give them a round of applause. This is lunchtime. So it was impressive though.
Yeah.
That place was impressive. I shot a lot of video, so you'll see some stuff soon.
Give me that. Give me that footage. I'll put it up when you talk about this.
Really, really liked it.
Okay, so a tip: 3 to 4 Texans is about family of 10 to 15 normal people.
Something like that.
Okay.
I mean, the food was incredible. Everybody's very, very friendly.
Of course.
Really, really liked it there. We didn't stay at the hotel venue. Right. We stayed like offsite, like maybe about 10 minutes out, but it was cheaper. It was good because we could do stuff around there. Like the hotel itself, where the show was at, was packed. Thursday and Friday was manageable, but come Saturday, it was crazy. Like I wouldn't say shoulder to shoulder, but very, very close.
Right.
The show itself was very, very different on the Thursday and Friday versus the Saturday. The Sunday only stayed for a little bit because Sunday kind of died down. I think Sundays in general just died down there. Trade night we went to was on Saturday, which was pretty crazy too.
So before we get to the trade night, even like when you say the difference between Thursday and Friday to Saturday, like what do you mean by that exactly?
So Thursday is like a VIP. We got VIP passes.
Okay. So kind of like the expo.
Yeah, similar. Yeah. A lot of dealer to dealer transactions. People trying to buy inventory. So like I ran into my friend from the last show. He found me at the hotel before going in. Coincidentally, we were sitting waiting to get inside the venue, and I saw him again. And he goes, DC, what you got? I go, come over and let's see. So he grabbed a bunch of stuff. So actually, a bunch of stuff I got at Burbank
Hmm.
quickly flipped to him. So that was great. And then he's going to do his thing, and we basically had some more buying
Yeah.
funds just to go buy stuff in
Right.
there when the
So
doors open.
that guy you made a deal with, he was gonna set up at the Dallas show, or?
He never sets up. He always walks around and just buys
Oh, I
stuff.
see. Okay.
I don't know, like he's sort of like a repacker, sort of,
Yeah.
but I don't think he actually does his own repack product. But he buys a lot of uh, slabs and stuff like that just so that he can
Gotcha.
reflip those.
Okay. All right. And then Saturday was like what? Just
Saturday
like
was going to BGS. I wanted to make sure I go to BGS to go pick up my Black Label Leia for my friend.
nice.
And that way I could also showcase it around and see if I can move it,
Hmm.
which I ended up moving it um,
Okay.
on the Saturday, which was great. And
Yes.
then I subbed a couple cards to see if I can get bumps, and I got Black Label, Ronald Acuna, Gold Tops, Chrome. So I did like a little mini promo video with BGS too with
Oh, right.
Beckett.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't want my friends like, why don't you do the Leia at the same time? I go, it's probably not good to have two Black Labels at the same time show up. I mean, like they were subbed at different times, mind you, right? I was just
Sure.
picking up the other one, but the first thing was because Beckett is in Dallas. This
Hmm.
was part of the reason why we wanted to come to the Dallas show, is that we had GCRs and RCRs we wanted to kind of get done.
Yeah.
And it's, even though there was a lot of demand, the difference from Beckett in uh, LA versus Beckett in Dallas
Hmm.
is that because the HQ is around the corner, they have double the amount of staff, so they could take more
Cool.
inventory and manage it in time. So I
Right.
was able to get my Acuna, and I also GCR that Skeens, which ends
Mm.
up being a 9.5 now. That black sapphire out of 10. Thanks,
Yeah.
Roy. Appreciate it, Roy. Um,
Yeah.
so that bumped up too. So I was able to pick those up before I left. So that was really, really good. Worked
So
out
when you
great.
say picked it up, so you got a GCR and then you actually got it slabbed into a regular
Yeah, so I
slab,
paid
right?
extra to do the express slabbing,
Yeah.
which takes a day, and then just got that done, and I picked them up before I left on Sunday.
Cool. Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, we were at the Beckett office. There was a lot of people in there before the show. I guess either trying to do GCRs or RCRs.
What do you mean
Or
you're in the Beckett office
I actually went to Beckett HQ
before the show, or
before
like?
the before the show on the Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
so
close to the show. It's right in Dallas.
it's like 10 minutes away.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mean that's why they can ship stuff back. I think they probably took a couple shifts,
Hmm.
take some tubs back to HQ, so they can bring them back the next day to have them for the customers and stuff like that.
I'm curious. What was the vibe like when you went to the Beckett headquarters?
Uh well, I mean the open area is a little bit small. It was packed though.
Okay.
Like people had slab cases everywhere. I saw a lot of BGS like I saw a lot of BGS 10 slabs.
Okay.
Um, and I can send you that video after. But basically, while I was doing my pickup, there's other there's other sections where tables were, like there were just piles and piles of slabs.
Hmm.
So it was pretty packed in there. I guess a lot of people were trying to jump the queue before
Right.
getting in there. Oh, I did that on Wednesday maybe. I think I did
Okay.
on Wednesday because the show opened Thursday, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was just to pick up the Leia though.
I see. So, well, there you go. See, I'm a big BGS guy, so it's good to show that there's some activity there. I don't know if it's because of the Dallas Card Show. Probably that's something to do with it.
I think
But
that's definitely part of it, but I mean, a lot of those slabs I saw were TCG slabs. So
mm,
I know, like we mentioned last time, that I think Beckett is getting a lot of TCG stuff, and that's why we're seeing a lot of black labels and pristines, because these are coming out of packs like pretty mint,
yeah,
like those one piece ones. I mean, I'm not as familiar with TCG, but I know they weren't sports cards.
right.
Yeah, but a
Okay,
lot of tens.
yeah. Well, when you say you said about 700 tables or so got set up at the Dallas show, so I don't know what 700 tables. What's that? So what's that comparable to? You know, like what is the expo? How many tables are at the expo? Do you know?
Expo, I think is big. Like now with all those rooms, I think it's bigger. Expo
Okay.
is still a little bit bigger. Um, this was pretty much the same size. I think it's almost the same number of tables as West Coast Card Show.
Mm.
Um, I think what I didn't like was that it was split up into so many rooms. Like there was like a main room,
Yeah.
and then there was like a sub main room, which was on the other like it's on the other side of the hotel.
Yeah.
And then there were a bunch of small rooms, and these
Okay.
small rooms. I mean, I walked through them, but like it is not the same.
Okay.
Definitely, like all the big, a lot of the big dealers were in the main room.
Right.
That's where you always see like the people with the buying 80 to 100% guys.
Yeah.
Um, but then I mean that sub room wasn't bad. I actually got quite a lot of vintage there,
Okay.
so I was pretty happy. It kind of worked out nicely. But definitely those small rooms were a little tougher. I think the also the advantage of this sub second room was called the Starlight Room
Yeah.
was that during trade night, that room remained open.
Hmm.
So they got a lot of extra people in there.
Sure.
And the trade nights were held inside the hotel too, but like in these conference rooms. So there were maybe like eight eight to 10 conference rooms, and people
Right.
just set up their stuff. Like even I set up some stuff there at the end.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Going back to the sub rooms, so they're just like most of them are, just regular dealers.
Yeah,
Not
all
yeah,
regular
okay.
dealers. Um, I felt like there was a lot of TCG at this show.
Hmm.
I don't want to maybe
It's like the trend, right?
it
Like
seems to be the trend.
yeah.
Um, I still there's a lot of sports. I still
Hmm.
think at least 50 to 60% sports.
How would you
Whereas
break
some
down
of
the go? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just saying that because there's some shows that I don't go to because it's like 80 to 90% TCG.
Right.
So I don't bother going to those. I
Yeah.
find those are very it's harder for me to find stuff that I want.
Sure, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
you said it's like 50-60, so at least half are still sports. One of my questions was actually like, how would you break down like what kind of sports cards you saw? Baseball, basketball primarily. What was it like?
All types of sports were there. There's a couple guys that did like for instance only soccer.
Oh,
So you see
interesting.
guys that only did soccer.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't see any hockey dealers, but I saw a massive hockey card that was
Hmm.
at the show. It's
What was it?
there's a McDavid Cup rookie,
Ooh,
but it ended up being a BGS 9.5. So a lot
wow.
of stuff got slabbed. Like that's a huge card, 9.5 10. I think the guy was
Okay.
asking 100K for it.
Yikes. That's a
But
big
there
card
was
though.
some monster cards that I saw there. Um,
Such
there was
as?
I saw there was Otani stuff. I saw there's one guy. I'm trying to remember his name, but he's like a big guy that does prep work for like
Okay.
cards and stuff,
Yeah.
like cleaning. Make sure it's good. Actually, he was actually a really good source because I went there and I showed him a couple cards and see whether or not he thinks it was worth sending into GCR or
Right.
crack out and stuff like that. And it was good. He charged like like $1 or $2 a card just to look at them
Hmm.
and tell you. And then he also could clean them if you're doing like he had a pile of cards he was cleaning. Like that was there. There was some big Otani stuff.
Right.
Uh Bowman, tops, chrome, like autos, stuff like that was pretty nuts. Vintage, there was a couple really, really big vintage dealers.
Hmm.
So that was kind of nice for me too. A lot of eye candy.
Yeah.
Um, there was a couple Star Wars guys specifically,
Hmm.
and luckily for me, like I was walking by the booth to see my other friend,
Hmm.
and then his buddy, who I realized after was someone that I've been talking to for like 10 years, but we met in
Okay.
person for first time.
Yeah.
He was buying some Star Wars from like just a regular person,
Mm-hmm.
And I go, "Oh, you like Star Wars? I have a very big card." He goes, "Oh, show me." And I pull it out, and all of a sudden, oh, he's like, that's incredible. What do you want for that? And then I was talking. I go, "It's my friend's card." Um, but
Yeah.
we came up with a number that my friend was happy with, and basically got some trade and some cash, and everyone's happy, right?
Nice.
And
Yeah.
then it was just random the way that came in, because I've walked by the booth many times. It just so happened that my friend that I know by face, he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there because he was trying to get stuff GCR'd
Right.
and whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I just happened to be there, and I recognized some of the cards because he's a big Bryce Harper guy. He's got a whole
Yeah.
showcase of Bryce Harper, like literally Bowman Chrome first Bryce Harper's, like blues, golds,
Yeah.
base, refractors, but a whole showcase worth of stuff. So then I realized who it was. And
Yeah.
then I saw the other side, he had just opened Star Wars, and then he did this deal with that guy. And I was like, oh, this might be the chance. And then lucky for my friend and I, is like, that was it. So that Leia
That's
went.
cool. Yeah.
My friend's happy. My other friend that bought the card is happy. So, and I'm happy.
Nice. Well, I was going to ask you too. Is there anything distinctive, do you think, about the Dallas Card Show, or do you think all card shows are pretty much the same?
I think the growing trend right now, I'm finding with the US shows anyway,
Yeah.
because that's what's been happening this year. I've only been at US shows,
Mm-hmm.
is that people bringing in their cards to sell, they're not selling them to dealers at the same rate. It's
Okay.
very, very different. A lot of these guys are going right to the repackers and trying
Mm,
to, you know, quote unquote max out on whatever it is. Like,
right.
if it's most likely, those guys are like for downtowns, kabooms, like case hits, SSPs. Those guys are buying those. How much they're paying, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I feel it's very strong, because there's other guys that come and try to buy stuff from us at, say, 85 to 90%
Mm-hmm.
of comps, and they're basically just going to the repacker, or have a outstanding deal with with a repacker that buys all their stuff
Yeah.
at, say, 95% to 97%.
Mm-hmm.
So they make 5 to 7 points, and then the repacker will repack their stuff and sell it at like 120,
Right.
because, like, I guess that's a way that they offset it with those packs. I know
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of these guys are doing stuff on Whatnot too.
Streaming. Yeah.
Just some of these sales, like, my friend today, I went to visit his store in Burlington. He was telling me this guy blasted through like $500,000 worth of slabs in like 45 minutes.
That's crazy.
So now you know where the product is coming from.
Right.
People are hitting it and then selling to them at, say, 90 to 97%. I guess it depends how good your person is.
Yeah.
And then they're just repacking it. For me, I actually went to one of those guys just to see.
How do
Just
you
want to
know
see what
they're like? How do you identify the repackers? Do they
they have a
say?
huge banner. It says buying cards at 80 to
Oh,
100%.
I see. Okay. Okay.
And then
Yeah.
there's Arena Club, and there's a couple other guys.
Right.
But then you have these kids. I'd say it's more kids that are doing this, but
Mm-hmm.
they're like the middleman. So they're buying up cards at 85 to 90%, and then flipping to these guys for 5 to 7%, and just compounding their money.
Right.
So, it's pretty crazy. So I went to one of those repackers. I showed them what I had, and they're like, "Oh, this is really nice stuff." Uh, but then when it came down to like brass tacks, is like, what's the number you're going to give me? And the number wasn't what I was expecting.
Hmm.
Now, maybe the cards I have are not as, like, they're more specialty cards. I'd say, you don't have as
Sure.
many comps. I didn't have any downtowns to sell these guys.
Right.
But I guess they know exactly what it is they want. Like,
Yeah. They're looking for very specific cards, almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Right. It's interesting because Hyung and I know you might have listened to that one episode with Hyung and I where we kind of talk about repackers and this new ecosystem that we're in,
yes,
right? And we're just kind of discovering like all these mechanics of this new ecosystem. So it's interesting to hear that. So when you say, like, when you go to these shows, especially the US shows, that's kind of the common theme right now, like whether it's Dallas or the West Coast card show that there are a lot of these higher presence of repackers.
Yeah, that definitely I noticed that.
Yeah.
Even when we went, like, I mean, part of being able to have like a VIP pass or an exhibitor pass because it allows you to go into a show early.
Mm,
We were finding that even some dealers are like, well, why would I sell to you at 80 or 85% when I can wait a couple of days and either max out because some repacker is going to come clean me out,
right.
or, like I want to sell to someone else. Basically I don't want to sell to you so you can resell it.
Gotcha.
So I found that was a little bit more difficult. Actually, on the Thursday and the Friday, there were some booths that weren't even set up. Like people didn't even show up.
Interesting, because they got rid of all their stuff already.
Either they got rid of their stuff or they just decided I'm only going to come in and do the Saturday, or come in like Friday night
Oh, I see.
and Saturday just to max out.
Yeah.
But there were booths that were there were a couple booths that were empty.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
come Sunday,
Yeah.
I guess a lot of people are done. So there were some booths that were not there. Albeit we got there earlier just to pick up stuff because we had to leave. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely at the West Coast Card Show, it was the same thing.
Man, I guess yeah, well, haven't not being at these shows, you don't really see that, but you hear those kind of stories more and more these days, for sure.
Yeah. So there's like two different tiers of dealers now. There's dealers that basically will try to sell retail out to
Yeah.
someone else like normal. And then there's dealers out there now that are buying inventory at a certain percentage, flipping it all at a certain percentage just to make like 5 points or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then just try to buy new inventory for the next show. I find this it's different. To be fair, I used to only do Expo. So
Mm-hmm.
2 shows, excuse me, in a year,
Yeah.
like my inventory doesn't change as much. But since doing Burbank and doing Dallas, my inventory has changed quite a lot.
Mm.
I mean,
Right.
I'm picking up different stuff. I'm trying to I'm trying to adapt to this new kind of style
Right.
where I have certain people's contacts now. It goes, yo, DC, when you get this, tell me, I'll pay you this.
Mm-hmm.
And then as long as I pick it up for less, then sure, maybe I'll just make 10 points and I'll just stack it on to buy something else, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit different, but this is the way it's changing. So
Right.
I don't know how that's going to happen in Toronto.
You
I'm
didn't have
curious.
that kind of vibe yet, eh? Since the last expo show, it hasn't been
No,
like that.
not yet. But you would
Yeah.
have noticed that the last 2 expos, there's a lot more US guys coming, just buying up a lot of stuff. If you
Yeah.
remember, I was telling you these guys just came in the first 1 or 2 days.
Right. You
There
mentioned
was
that.
so
Yeah.
much US cash in the room because these US guys came and pretty much snapped up all this stuff
Mm-hmm.
for their own repack. So depending on
Right.
what kind of stuff you had and what kind of inventory you had, I mean, for some people, it's a dream, right? It's like, oh, I just got rid of all this stuff. And these guys buy not all amazing things. Sometimes it's just crap. Like like the slabs are crap. It's like
Right.
if I buy a slab for $20, not me, the
Yeah.
repacker buys a slab for $20 and sells it for 25,
Yeah.
they're happy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah,
I
bottom
don't
line.
have any
Yeah.
$20 slabs. Well, not of any worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a different mentality, and I'm finding that a lot of these younger, I can't even call them collectors, but like these younger business people, this is
Right.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so
Just
it's actually pretty crazy. I think if I can become like a hybrid of that,
yeah.
that would be the best scenario because I still like acquiring the pieces I like,
Yes.
and because I've gone more vintage, it takes a little longer to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for a very specific person and I'm really just selling the eye appeal and the color portion versus the grade.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is kind of a growing trend, what we're talking about here in terms of the presence of repackers? And do you expect there to be more, or do you think the hobby is going to be big enough where this is going to be a segment of the hobby always now, but there you could still, do the conventional buy sell without the repackers in it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you could still kind of collect the ones you want to collect and sell the ones you want to sell, without the repackers being the middle guy.
You know what? This is just an adaptation to the market. It's like before we didn't have breaking, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
breaking became such a big phenomenon. It still is.
Yeah.
Right now, this is just a new way for people to resell a slab.
Right.
It's just that it got so competitive that the numbers are just changing, right? Whereas before, like I remember after COVID, maybe just after COVID, people were buying like we were buying at like 70%.
Right.
There's no such thing now. Now these guys are like, well, why would I sell to you at even 90% when I can get it 95 or 97?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it depends on a couple of things. First thing is what product do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not the reseller, like, because the person that's selling it doesn't care. Like these
Yeah.
guys don't
Yeah.
care where it goes. They just make sure that they get paid. Whereas to me, there's a whole process of how I acquired this car. Like there's a story behind it. Like,
Yeah.
like I like that whole aspect of collecting because I still collect.
Yeah.
But this is just a new wave of 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 um of the way cards are being transacted.
Yes.
Um, I can't say that it's gonna go away. I don't think it will go away. I think there's so many new collectors, but with new collectors come new ways of doing things, and this is just one thing that's changing.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I maybe people will call me more optimistic, but I feel like the hobby will be big enough as we grow with new collectors, that you'll still be able to buy, sell, trade the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
There certainly is going to be more competition for
Yes.
buying, right? So you got to
Yes.
factor that in as well. But you might just have to do a little bit more legwork, I guess, to find what you
Yeah.
want to buy, right?
Definitely, it's different. I think people have options, but
Yeah.
and this doesn't change cards or in business in general. If you have established loyalty with certain people, they'll
Mm,
still come to you just because they like the experience of you dealing with them, right? So
yeah.
that's why I have a lot of repeat clients, right, and stuff like that. And sometimes I've even transferred them into the real estate market just from the way that we've conducted a deal with sports cards.
Yes.
So to me, like I'm OG like that. Like I still like really believe in the whole relationship aspect of the transaction.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why people still bring me stuff, and that's why people still get stuff from me. And like that's enough. I think that at the end of the day is like the market is big enough for all different types of whatever people choose, whatever method they choose to buy and sell their cards.
Yeah.
I think the market is definitely big enough. It's just how long is one going to be sustainable to
Right.
another? Because if once it
Exactly.
becomes all business, then the whole hobby is now no longer a hobby.
Yes. I agree with you 100%. I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to say, like, I still believe the heart of the hobby is collectors that want to get the cars they want to PC or just, transact and make trades, good trades. I think that's still at the heart of it, and it's got to be enjoyable. For the hobby right now, there's a lot of nostalgia because a lot of us are coming back into the hobby, and
Right.
you can't replace that feeling, right?
Mhm.
There'll always be we kind of also need the business side of things to kind of keep the hobby growing and maybe get more people interested in it. But I'm hoping that maybe there are people that come into the hobby looking to flip just to make some money. But I'm sure like a percentage of that, I'm hoping will actually enjoy the hobby for what it is.
There's definitely going to be a balance.
Right.
I mean, I feel like some of these guys that are just doing this and then going to repack is strictly numbers. It's just analyzing how much can I buy this at, how much can I flip this at, and
Hmm.
what's the delta that I can make in the middle. Um, for whatever reason, I mean, I remember I met this collector. Um, he was supposed to be a doctor, and he literally quit after first year because he's trying out this whole card flipping thing, and
Wow. Okay.
he's doing okay.
Right.
I'm sure his parents are not super happy that he's like, yeah, hey mom and dad, I'm gonna quit being a doctor now, quit med school so I can sell cardboard.
Yeah. No, especially if they're Asian parents. You might
Oh yeah, and they are. And like
okay.
I didn't really ask. I
Yeah.
haven't really followed up with him to see how that's going.
Yeah.
But I definitely know there's a couple guys because I see all of them at the show,
Mm,
and like we always say, "Hey, what's up?" Because when we have nice cards, people remember you, right?
right.
So I see this guy's inventory, and it's crazy, and he's obviously doing really, really well.
There you go.
And
Good for him.
these young kids doing really, really well.
Yeah, they're hustling for sure. You can't deny that. I guess the big question is how sustainable is it, right? It's one of those things where it's good now, but it will be good 10, 20 years from now. Things always evolve. And I think like everything else, things are evolving even quicker than we probably expect, with
Yeah,
technology and everything else. So yeah, it'll be interesting to keep an eye out for how the hobby in general evolves. I want to go back to what you're mentioning, with a lot of repackers and a lot of guys just kind of buying out tables. And this is kind of a loose segue into one of the questions that a podcast listener had. Shout out to Dave. He DM'd me just this morning and asked, just kind of getting some advice. He's from the States. He's planning to come up to the expo, the Sports Card Expo here in Toronto, the GTA, for the first time. So welcome to Canada and in April. And here's what he says. And I think this is a good question for you. We were kind of talking off air because you have some experience with buying and selling at shows, and I think you give some good general advice on what he should do. So he says, he asks, going to my first Sports Card Expo Toronto in a few weeks. As cash goes, should I bring Canadian, US, or leave it to PayPal? He normally doesn't bring a lot of cash with him for safety reasons. That's obvious. But he is looking to chase some bigger vintage cards under 10K. So what kind of general advice would you give? Like, do a lot? I guess my first impression or my first thought is everyone says cash is king. So that gives you the most flexibility. But yeah, do you want to add anything to that?
definitely cash is the best scenario. I mean, a lot of people, the reason why they do shows because it's cash.
Mm,
Um, the problem is when you're crossing a border, it's difficult because you are limited by how much funds you can bring. That's the first
right.
thing. And the
Right.
way PayPal is right now, people don't love PayPal. Because getting the funds out is a little bit annoying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As for US versus Canadian funds, I cannot speak for everyone else. But I mean, if you bring me US funds, I prefer US funds just because
Hmm.
I'm gonna need it because I
Right.
go to the US to buy it. Um, the dollar right now also too. I honestly would rather
Right.
have US dollars
For sure.
just
For sure.
for the exchange rate.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say if you had a big card that you wanted to purchase and you didn't have enough cash and you're not from Canada,
Mm-hmm.
I feel a lot of dealers would probably make the exception to take partial payment in PayPal. I mean, definitely I would. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say no to a deal. I just got to jump through a couple more hoops to get something done.
Right.
But maybe you end up paying a little bit of a premium. I don't know how that might work. The other
Yeah.
suggestion I would have is if you have other cards. I mean, you were saying Dave wanted vintage.
Mm-hmm.
That means you must collect some vintage. So I would bring some vintage over
Mm.
and then either trade it or sell it so you have funds there
Right.
and then go towards a card you want. So, I mean, DM Clark and he'll DM me or whatever. Tell me what card it is you
Yeah.
want. Let's
Yeah.
see if we can work it out because I'll take some stuff back and trade. Like not every dealer is like this, but I think a lot of the smarter dealers would be doing something like this, taking back
Sure.
something, especially if you're dealing with someone that's not from here.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I've done in the past. Literally just traded stuff for something else that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And we can offset with cash. And if we didn't have enough cash, then we'll work out something with PayPal or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's good advice. Yeah. Um, I only mentioned to Dave, like, other than, big retailers that set up there or, corporations or companies, they'll take credit card, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
like for individual dealers or smaller dealers, cash is probably preferred. And I'm glad you mentioned it in Canada. I'm sure most Canadian dealers would be happy to take US funds as well. So,
Oh, for sure.
you
For
know,
sure.
So you could bring your US dollars, especially with the exchange rate. You did mention like PayPal is obviously applicable to both Canada and the US, but I know some of our American friends have other options which we don't really
Like,
use here in Canada,
so like
right?
Zelle and Cash App,
We don't
stuff
have
like that.
here.
I wish we had it.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out how I can. I don't know. Maybe I got to set up a corporation in US or something to in a
Yeah.
US bank so I can get that stuff. I think it would be definitely easier.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's part of the challenge definitely when you're crossing borders, especially now with whatever's happening with tariffs
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like that's a whole other ball of wax. But
Right.
definitely, I think like we're in trading cards, so just trade stuff.
I like that. I like that. And you know what? Honestly, that's advice I have taken and used. You know, like
Yeah,
when I went to Fanatics Fest, I'm always bringing cards for
yeah,
potential trades, and then to add a little bit more cash. So
sure.
right? Because yeah, I don't want to carry 10,000 in cash with me
Oh, definitely.
across.
But you'll
Yeah,
carry a $10,000 slab.
right. Exactly. It's easier to like just keep the slab in your hand so that doesn't
Sure,
get stolen than a wad of cash. That's for sure.
that's very true. I think too, if there's a this is for me personally,
Yeah.
if the deal is so big, and someone and I really wanted the card and we agreed on a price or something,
Hmm.
I would figure out a way to meet because I go to the US a lot.
Yep.
So I would just bring the card.
Mm,
Sometimes I would do an in-person deal like that. Like even shipping like something over 5K, I feel a little eerie about sometimes,
sure.
right? But if I can sync it when I'm in the US or we can meet somewhere in the US or something like that,
Yeah.
then that's not a bad way. You just gotta have proper trust with a person, number one, and number two is just gotta have the right product.
I like that. Definitely more peace of mind as well.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Thanks for answering that. All right. Last question, really. How we usually end off our discussions. What kind of deals did you make? Any cool pickups? And, I'm always interested in why you made those deals. Like, what's your thought process behind making that
Uh,
trade or
okay.
pickup? So let's see
So
what you got.
I went to pick up some stuff before the Dallas show.
Okay.
So one of my buddies reached out to me and he's like, he sees my Instagram. He's like, "Oh, the food looks amazing, whatever, whatever. Where are you heading to next?" I go, "I'm going to Dallas. I'm gonna go to card show."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Hey, do you want to sell any of your stuff?" Like I haven't spoken to the guy in a while, but he's like, "Yeah, I have some stuff put it together." So we met up in Windsor.
Hmm.
He's from Cleveland.
Okay.
So I drove to Windsor, he drove to Cleveland, and we did the deal. We had a meal, and that was that. So I bought some
Nice.
stuff. Some stuff I don't have anymore because it's gone or in a trade or I sold it in Dallas. But here's the first one. It's
Yeah.
Michael Phelps
Oh,
auto.
interesting.
So
Okay.
this is his first. I think this is his first actual auto, which is
Hmm.
pretty cool. And this guy, like, I mean, I don't watch professional swimming, but
Yeah.
this guy
He's
won
an
so
Olympic
many
star.
gold
Yeah.
medals, right?
Right.
And it's amazing. So just to have a piece of history there, um, that was a really cool card I wanted to acquire.
Nice.
So I got this at the show, Bazana.
Bazana. Okay. Top prospect for the Guardians.
So my buddy Nelson had just gone to some spring training games. He was there with his family in Arizona,
Hmm.
and he told me he was at a Guardians game, and he said there was one guy that was smashing the ball, and it was Bazana. A lot
That
of a lot of hype on him. I mean, the price on this I got was really good. Like I said, some dealers were just more reasonable than others.
right.
This dealer particularly was in that Starlight room, so the sub room.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because they had less traffic initially
Hmm.
that they
He
were
just
more
wanted to
willing
make a
to make
deal.
deals.
Right.
So I got this for a really good deal, and at the same time, I bought this from him. It's
Okay.
Sebastian Walcott,
Yeah.
Bowman First, Sapphire, PSA 10.
Nice.
So he doesn't have he's got an auto, but it's not on a Bowman First,
Hmm. Okay.
right? So it's like those ones that is like his first auto, but not on a Bowman First but people want the auto,
Yeah.
but the true collector will want this,
Hmm.
and he's
Yeah.
one of the top prospects. I got this Acuna rookie out of Heritage, but
Heritage.
it's a blue name text error.
Blue name texter.
So
Okay.
like up here.
Yeah.
So Heritage always has these different subsets. You really have to look. Remember when we were cracking the Heritage
Yeah.
case in
Yeah.
your office? I have no idea what these short prints were, but
Yeah.
this uh well, Acuna is good, right? So hopefully he comes back soon. I think he's in the minors and
Hmm.
he'll be up by April or May, end of April, beginning of May.
I think that's the timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so because I'm heavily invested in Acuna stuff.
Yeah.
I guess
Juan
Juan
Soto, first
Soto,
Bowman Chrome refractor.
yeah, refractor,
Okay. PSA.
PSA 9, Auto 10.
Nice. He's gonna have a big year.
I got this Reggie Jackson rookie,
Yes.
SGC 5.
What year is the tops for Reggie Jackson's
It's
rookie?
1969.
Nice. Looks clean.
And then I got another Reggie Jackson, PSA 8.
You think Reggie Jackson's underrated?
Yes, Mr. October. This
Mr.
guy
October.
hit home runs like no one. It's like really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
I got this
Mickey Mantle.
1954 Bowman mantle.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the story. So in the trade night, I set up a table with Martin and staff. Martin and staff they sell different stuff.
Yeah.
So this guy sits down beside me and I go, "Hey, what do you got for sale?" He's like, nothing really big. And I go, "Can I see?" And he goes, "Sure." He's got a 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 6.
Okay.
It looks great.
Yeah.
So I make an offer on it, like we comp it out, I make an offer, a cash offer, and he's like, "Okay, take it." So I pay him out.
Yeah.
30 seconds later, this other guy comes and he's like, "How much for the PSA 6?" And I'm like, I'm struggling because I don't want to say what I want to sell it for because the guy I just got it from is still there. Right? So I'm like,
Right.
so I give him a number. I just shot out a number.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you looking to trade or you just buy it? And he's like, I got some stuff you might want. So I looked at the stuff. I'm trying to comp out some things.
Yeah.
But the guy I got it from is still there. Like he's lurking, kind of want to see what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Right. At the end I put together a deal. It was worth it. Like, so I come out a little bit on top. I traded the Jordan for some cash. I'm a Holmes rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Which
this
Mahomes rookie?
mantle, optic
Okay.
PSA 10.
Nice.
Um,
And the
so optic
mantle you just
PSA
showed.
10,
Yeah.
the mantle I just showed you, and this C3PO boner card. So I don't know. You know about this card?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I couldn't. I had to take this card just because it was cool. It's like
Is
I've
that your
never seen it in
first
person.
C3PO boner card that you've owned?
It's only one C3PO boner card. It's the only one I have.
It's the only one you
But
need. Okay.
it was pretty cool. So I got that and I got some cash. So like, it was literally a quick flip.
That's
But
funny.
that Jordan was really, really nice. It looked like that 7 I got last time I showed you, it looked really good. The centering is this was the same thing, but in a 6.
Mm,
So like I say, they're not all equal.
for sure.
Luckily, like I paid stronger on the card because the eye appeal was really good.
Yeah.
But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The guy came and go, this is a 6, and he
Mm-hmm.
took it. And I got his contact, so we'll be doing other deals too. Like he's trying to get my 7 right now.
Right. Right.
Uh, do you know this card?
No. Who is it?
It's a Mickey Mantle autograph card from Score in 1990 or 1989.
Okay.
So we used
Do-
to crack Score cards just to try to hit this card.
right.
So it's a Mickey Mantle auto. There's 4 different photo variations, and
Yeah.
each one is out of 2000. So you can see this is numbered 439 out of 2000.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
the key part is that
The auto.
the auto's a 10.
That's great.
So I mean, that's gonna look really good with my vintage stuff.
Is it an IP auto or is it an auto that came with a score? That
It came
score.
it came out of score. It's actually certified.
Wow. Okay. Never
Yeah.
heard of that card until now. That's crazy.
Yeah, if you can look it up because I was in my buddy's place in Burlington. He's like, I got cases of this score product if you want to crack it to try to hit. I go, no, I got one already. I don't think it's worth it. But the
Yeah.
price of that junk wax is still going up. It's probably like $75 to $100 a box,
Wow. Okay.
which is crazy because you used to buy those boxes for like $10.
Right. Yeah.
This is a very cool card.
Oh, mini.
So it's from 1929,
Yeah.
and it doesn't say Babe Ruth on it. But a lot of people call this the pre-rookie card for Babe Ruth because you
Wow,
can
that's
see in the
cool.
photo it's him.
Yeah, yeah. He has a very
You can
distinct
tell it's
swing.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
very distinct. So I got this in a trade. I traded one of my. I had that 1956 Grayback PSA 1. I
Hmm.
traded that in cash for this card, and I couldn't say no because I've never seen this,
Yeah. That's really cool.
and it's in great condition. This was one of the cards I got from my buddy in Cleveland. It's Cameron
Okay.
Brinks.
Hmm.
Cameron Brink.
WNBA.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
got it raw. It's out of 25, but it's now it's a true gem.
Cool.
BGS 95
Cameron Brink.
out of 25. Like she was injured a lot of last year, but I think she's one of the more popular players. Plays on the Sparks, right? Jordan Love, rookie 101. It's a white
Encased.
box. It's a white box 101, but
Right.
still a 101. If he has a good year, it'll be good.
What's the white? Can you explain again? White box 101. What's the difference between that and a regular 101?
So white box 101s is when Panini gives you a replacement for a redemption that they don't have anymore. It took too long.
Right.
That's why I used to go to the National a lot. I would set up my appointment with Panini for redemptions that I had that weren't redeemed. I mean, not redeemed, but they didn't give it back to me.
Expired. Right.
Mine were not expired because I actually redeemed it. It's just that the card wasn't ready.
Oh,
So
I see.
I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when I did that one when I traded that LaMelo Ball. I had the first off the line out of 20
Hmm.
auto, and then the lady was really nice to me. I just speak to her nice, and she gave me two white box Curry autos, 101s.
Right. I remember. Yeah.
So basically, that's where they come out of. So there's black box and white box,
Yeah.
and I think the black boxes are more expensive ones because they go by tier. What kind of
Okay.
card you're gonna get based off of what your redemption is worth.
Right.
So there are white boxes and there are black boxes,
Yeah.
but they're all quote unquote 101s. They're not real. They're not really 101s, but they're 101s because they basically Panini takes the cards that were not redeemed and they
Hmm.
stamp them and they give them back out. So like that Curry that I had was actually out of flawless, but it would have been an emerald, which would be out of 5,
Hmm.
but they stamped it a 101. And like the Carter one I had, the dunking
Yeah.
one out of Panini 101, um, that I think is actually supposed to be out of 20, the purple border out of or 20 or 15, but mine
Hmm.
was stamped a 101 because it was the black box.
Came out of the black box. Right.
Right.
No, it's good to know. I mean, seen several of those kind of listings: black box 101 or white box 101. So it's
Yeah,
good to know.
because a lot of people don't like purists don't count that as a real 101, so they won't give you the same kind of value.
Right.
That being said, um, usually the value is based on what the card really is. So like my emerald would have been worth X, so I got something close to that.
Yeah. Understood.
It's Jordan Love Orange
Hmm.
PSA 10. I think this is at a 249. So I
Okay.
think he's gonna have a pretty good year. Solid orange. Uh,
Packers.
got another one of these.
Larry
Larry Bird, Magic
Bird.
Johnson, and Julius Irving.
Yep.
I almost picked up an autograph copy, the one with all 3 autographs.
Oh, that's sick.
But yeah, I couldn't get to the number. Like we couldn't agree on the number.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, but I
Oh,
don't. I
that's.
don't love it, but it's nice. So Bill Russell rookie,
Ooh.
SGC 3.
True champ. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I couldn't pass up this. Like in that lot, I picked up a Oscar Robertson,
Mm-hmm.
as well
Wilt.
as no. I wish I had a Wilt. I mean, I'm still looking for one. I would
Yeah.
love to get one. But in that lot, I picked up that Oscar Robinson, that Bill Russell, some other stuff. Like a LeBron PSA 9,
Mm.
and I got like a loose Brandon Miller out of 25. I traded that for a Yamamoto gilded gold out of 5 auto.
That's
So
cool.
that one's in my US box. I'm gonna ship that back and then I'm gonna grade it. But that card is looks nasty.
I got to see it in person when you have it.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Kobe on card auto out of 24.
Yep.
Um,
What brand is that?
it's Panini. The thing is, I've never heard of this series,
Right.
but when I saw it, like the photo is like pretty cool and it's on card. So
Panini what?
it just says Panini Kobe.
Okay.
I think it
Yeah.
was a Kobe subset.
Oh, I
Like on the
see.
back, it's got like that his 24 emblem and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Still cool. Yeah.
out of that same set, look at this one though. Look at that
Ooh,
photo.
that's cool. And is a patch as well? Patch auto?
Yeah, yeah, game use.
Love Kobe cards. Yeah.
Me too. Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
So these are rare, a little bit more rare. These are the Davidson ones, but it's out of 100. This is a sticker auto, but I have another one too that I got out of 75, but it's on card.
Nice.
Yeah. So I picked those up in that lot too. This is the card I got from Roy.
There it is. Paul Skeens, Black Sapphire, BGS 9.5 now.
Yep. So
What are the
you know,
subgrades on that?
it's a min gem 9595959. Surface is a 9.
The surface, right. That was the
Yeah.
issue we knew going into it, yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
I thought about it. Do I want to try to buff it out? And I don't know, like if it's possible or not. But I actually showed this card to that guy I told you about that analyzes the cards and cleans them and stuff like that. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, the error with that card is not actually fixable because it's a manufacturer's defect.
Okay.
Basically, the gloss that goes over the card, this one was missing a piece of it. So
Mm.
it's not like something you could like
Scratch
kind of
off or
change.
take off, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. You have to almost add on the gloss.
yeah. Which I'm not gonna do because that's doctoring a card.
Right.
But I was very happy with the bump because I mean, yes, it was nice as a PSA 9, but honestly, as a 9.5,
More
it'll be
value.
better, and it's a pop one,
Right. I
so
mean, is
that
that a
that'll
10
help.
to begin with? Yeah.
Yeah. Out of 10 to begin with, but some of those other comps that were there, because there's an 8 that sold and like a 9 that sold earlier,
Mm-hmm.
because people try to reason with me what I should sell the card for or trade the card for, and I go, no, you can't use a comp from then and now. And
Yeah.
then also it's a 9.5. It's not an 8 or a 9 now. So,
Yeah.
that changed a little bit. But that card I'm not super worried about. Like I mean, once the season really gets going, I think I'll probably move that to the national.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, Skeens,
Yeah. Or Fanatics.
right. That's in June.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to that. And then the last one,
There it is. Ronald Acuna, Topps Chrome,
Top
rookie,
Chrome Rookie Gold, Black
gold,
Label.
black label 10. It's a beauty.
It matches the card. So nice.
Well done. No, thanks for the show and tell as always. And you did mention you're planning to go to Fanatics Fest and the National, but what's your next show? Is it the Expo in April?
Next show is Expo.
Okay.
So I'm definitely excited to show some of the stuff that I got.
Yep.
Martin and I kind of picked up some cards together too. Um, it's not stuff that I usually get, so that's why it makes it very interesting.
It's sports cards still.
Well, yeah. Oh, so here's one. Like I mean, I bought this in a lot.
Willie Mays. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Willie Mays 54 tops PSA 5. Patrick Wall rookie,
Yes, sir.
PSA 9.
Hard to
So
find in Gem Mint, yeah.
yeah, so a couple of these ones I'm gonna try to see if I can GCR to 9.5. Because if they go to 9.5, it's a big difference in the value. I mean, it's still pretty good value for that card,
Yeah.
but it could double. And this card,
Tony Esposito,
rookie, PSA 9.
wow, yeah.
That's a big card for vintage in a new slab. So, I mean, and there's another card that he's holding on to because I think his market is a little bit better, but it's a Kobe EX Century Stardate 2000 PSA 10.
Oh yeah, I know that card. It's pretty
So
sweet.
we got into the PSA 10, so we'll probably move that at the National or worst case Burbank, but that card is sick and it's low pop.
It's great, yeah. I mean, all awesome cards.
Yeah.
And well, if I guess we were talking about our podcast listener Dave, you can check out DC. He'll be at the expo. I'll be at the expo. Maybe we can all meet up. And it's always great to meet people in person. Like you were saying, it's kind of we meet all these guys online, right? Because we can, we live all over the place. But when we go to these shows, one of the benefits is just meeting up in person and just kind of talking about the hobby. It's always fun.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Yeah, so I'll see you there, DC, at the expo. We'll probably shoot some more content as we usually do, sure. And I think it'll be a great time. So that's what, April?
April 24th to 27th, I think it is.
It's always the weekend of my first son's birthday, so I gotta figure things out. But I always do. I always do. But yeah, thanks again, DC, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks for having me on again.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.